Good morning to everyone. Welcoming you all to your company's 50th annual general meeting. I am J.R. Vishnuvardhan, company secretary of the company. The board of directors have elected your managing director, Mr. Krishna Mahesh, as the chairman of the meeting. Now I request Mr. Krishna Mahesh, managing director, to take over and conduct the proceedings of the meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Vishnuvardhan, do we have a requisite quorum at the meeting?
Yes, sir. We have the requisite quorum.
In that case, I'd like to welcome the shareholders and call the meeting to order since the requisite quorum is present. Mr. Chidambaram and Ms. Shobana Ramchandran have yet to join us, but I'd like to introduce the directors who are present right now. The head of our shareholder relationship committee, Mr. KSD Sambasiva. The head of our audit committee, Ms. Sandhya Subramaniam. Ms. Sripriya Mahesh Ramana and Mr. S. Venkatraman. I'd like to mention that the notice convening the 50th annual general meeting of the company was circulated already, along with the annual report to the shareholders, and the same can be taken as read. I'd also like to mention that the auditor's report, being unqualified, is not required to be read as per the provisions of Section 145 of the Companies Act 2013. I'd also like to inform the shareholders who have not voted through remote e-voting that they may cast their vote through the e-voting facility available at the AGM. The said e-voting facility will be available for 15 minutes after the conclusion of the AGM. Now, with your permission, I'll deliver my speech. Ladies and gentlemen, I have great pleasure in welcoming you all to the 50th annual general meeting of your company, being held through video conference as given by the Companies Act 2013 and SEBI regulations provisions. The board's report and audited accounts for the year ended 31st March 2024 have been with you for some time now, and with your permission, I shall take them as read. In the 5 years since the passing of our founder, chairman, and managing director, the company continues to be guided by his principles and his example. I would like to recognize Mr. P.S. Raman's elevation to the Attorney General of Tamil Nadu, which necessitated his stepping down from the SBL board in January of 2024. Having joined this board in July of 2004, he served your company for nearly 2 decades. He assumed the role of independent director in August 2014 and played a key role on our audit committee. I am happy that we were able to show early results of our journey to consistent profitability before he stepped down, and I'm sure he will guide the government as surely as he did the management at SBL. I would also like to recognize and appreciate Mr. G.R. Chandramouli's service, both in his nearly 4 decades at Sundaram Brake Linings as a director and as a director. While his age necessitated him stepping down, in his many capacities, he has our eternal gratitude for providing his insight, effort, and knowledge to help your company advance. While thanking directors who have served us for decades, I'd like to welcome Mr. M.C.T.P. Chidambaram as non-executive independent director. We look forward to drawing on his extensive experience and expertise in the fields of education and training and anticipate his contributions to our growth. Ladies and gentlemen, the primary reason for any business to exist is to provide new value to the world. And at SBL, we have always done it by providing the highest quality friction with properties tailored for driving duty cycles in each of the world's markets. Our products are made by embedding unique friction modifiers and lubricants in a glass fiber and phenol formaldehyde epoxy matrix, a functional composite. We've been developing an existing new business line that extends our existing knowledge and equipment in functional composites into novel structural composites. At this 50th AGM, I'm happy to share with you that SBL continues its tradition of cutting-edge technology and high-quality production in providing the composite body panels to one of the most exclusive motorcycles in the world. We hope to soon commence supplies for aerospace drones and truck parts as well. We expect this will grow to become a significant additional business for your company in the years to come. Next, I would like to make a few observations. The global economy in 2024-25 is expected to feature uncertain and unequal growth. With over half the world's population voting in 70 countries, the potential for changes in policy have never been greater. Key factors influencing these votes include lingering effects of high inflation, geopolitical tensions, and sustained tight monetary policies. While the IMF forecasts global growth of around 3%, this is primarily driven by emerging markets and developing economies, with advanced economies expected to grow at a much slower pace. The US Federal Reserve raising interest rates has increased the importance of profitability today versus the promise of profits tomorrow. Venture funding dried up, and the misallocation of capital in highly chancy startup businesses dried up as well. The funding winter is the inevitable outcome of poor US and EU government policy. Inevitably, India's startup economy has not been spared. However, it is hoped that India's economy will continue its robust growth, expected to be between 6.6% and 7.8% in the fiscal year 2024-25. This growth has seen it poised to overtake Japan and become the world's fourth largest economy, while remaining the fastest growing major economy in the world. However, most growth projections are founded on increased government investment in infrastructure and rural development, and the anticipation of increased private sector participation in capital investment. Overall, while the global economic outlook remains cautious with moderate growth expectations, India is poised for significant economic expansion driven by strong domestic demand, potential private sector investment, and strategic government initiatives. The Chennai floods were devastating, and significant gaps between government execution and its rhetoric were laid bare. Despite months of preparation by SBL, including deployment of pumping capacity, and your company's personnel risking their lives, the Padi factory was flooded for nearly a week. Your company suffered damaged materials of around rupees 8 crores and machinery and equipment of nearly 6 crores. We have internally recognized those that went above and beyond the call of duty to help the company mitigate losses and restore functionality. While losses will be made good by insurance, if any government has a development model it wants to tout, what happened in Chennai cannot be it. In presenting the performance highlights of your company for the fiscal year 2023-24, I regret neither our founder chairman nor one of our longest serving directors, Mr. T. Kannan, who passed last year, are here to see the company make one of its highest profits in its history. However, I remain buoyed that their guidance and blessings have been a part of how we have achieved these results. Your company's net sales of 350.22 crores represents a decline of 0.82% from the prior year's 353.1 crores. Its export turnover increased by nearly 14%, but its domestic revenue declined by 8%. The net profit of rupees 10.09 crores compares favorably to the previous year's loss of 4.78 crores. This turnaround was aided by the pass-through to the customers of COVID-induced raw material and logistic price increases, which your company had previously shouldered alone for nearly 2 years. Profits would have been higher still by 1.7 crores in the fourth quarter, but for the training and R&D expenses to increase capabilities in our composite division. It was the repeated and expressed wish of Mr. T. Kannan that your company pay its shareholders a dividend as soon as it returned to sustained profitability. It is my happy privilege to be able to finally fulfill his wish while ensuring we are simultaneously safeguarding the long-term interests of shareholders and the remaining stakeholders of the company. Therefore, Based on the performance of your company during the financial year 2023-24, we are pleased to recommend a final dividend of 20% of the face value of each fully paid up equity share. In the domestic market and the OEM segment, your company's segment revenue decreased by 10.5%, which was largely driven by the reduced vehicle production in the fourth quarter of 2023-24. The independent aftermarket revenue decreased by 1.3% from the prior year. While some former TVS Group distributors have reduced their orders to your company's additional channels of directly served large stockists grew over threefold from 2022-23 and is expected to be a substantial growth channel in the coming years. The company's multi-channel approach to increase its sales to both wholesale distributors who will serve small retailers and direct to large stockists is expected to better serve the market of independent aftermarket mechanics and fleets. In export sales, we have registered a growth of 13.9%. The company's primary North American export market showed strong growth, which is expected to strengthen in FY 2024-25. However, we do remain aware that supply chain threats due to disruptions, example in the Red Sea or the Straits of Malacca, can affect both raw material receipt and customer deliveries. And your company is taking measures to reduce the impact of emergent situations and minimize customer impact. Your company has successfully introduced premium copper-free commercial vehicle brake pads in North America and is seeing good market acceptance and adoption of the same. In the company's outlook and prospects, for our sales, your company is a significant automotive supplier in the fifth largest global economy and the most populous country with significant economic growth predicted. The potential for transport of passengers and freight is significant and growing. While OEM CV business is expected to be sluggish early on, it is expected to accelerate, and your company will continue to provide the best solution to vehicle manufacturers' needs. We see significant untapped potential in the aftermarket and will put in increased efforts to strengthen our aftermarket offering and grow our share and the segment as a whole. As part of this increased focus on the independent aftermarket, your company will increase its focus on newly introduced lines of business, that is, two-wheeler products, four-wheeler line shoe, premium disc pads for passenger vehicles, and redouble our efforts to enhance our CV lining sales. The increasing CAFE 3 requirements for India coming in force in 2027 pose a tremendous challenge for the Indian automotive industry and represent a significant opportunity to your company. We have recognized your company has been manufacturing a functional composite, glass fiber infused phenol epoxy with friction modifiers and lubricants for the last 4 decades and has many of the capabilities required to address the market's demand for lightweight structural composites as well. To that end, your company will leverage its production and research and testing capabilities and reputation for quality and production processes with automotive OEMs to meet their customers' requirement for EV range increases, boosted fuel economy, increased strength, and reduced weight by manufacturing composites that use carbon and glass fiber. We believe that these products in automotive, aerospace, industrial, and consumer goods will be a significant driver for your company in the near, medium, and long-term future. In terms of cost reduction and cost control, your company is continuing its implementation of productivity improvements to increase effective capacity and overcome labor shortages. It will also complete broad deployment of significant energy conservation projects in the coming 2 years and see significant reduction in energy costs. We continue to attempt to standardize and expedite these improvements and hope to show greater impact in the coming years. In terms of concerns, increased logistic costs and lead times affect both raw material and finished product costs. Ongoing geopolitical conflicts, such as the Russia-Ukrainian war, the Israel-Hamas-Iran war, and tensions in the Asia-Pacific region pose significant risk to global trade and economic stability. The most recent concern was the increased transit time and expense caused by the Red Sea conflict. and your company took necessary countermeasures, including pipeline stock and vendor managed inventory, to alleviate the situation so that customers receive the goods on time. Future conflicts could disrupt supply chains and increase energy prices, and we are aware of this. Local power prices have been unilaterally increased and creating challenges to all industries in Tamil Nadu. We remain concerned about the significantly higher prices charged to industry to subsidize non-economic interests. These may pose a significant drag in further growth to your company and the state of Tamil Nadu in the coming years. In terms of recognition, the company's R&D facilities located in Padi have been recognized as an approved R&D unit by the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, DSIR, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India, New Delhi, and the recognition has been renewed up to 30 March 2027. Now some acknowledgements. I've talked about the raison d'etre of a business. The role of management is to set the goals, determine the best path to capture the new value, and to arrange for the organization of resources for the company to succeed. So I tell you that our goal is for your company to be a 2,000 crore company by 2029-30. Of that, we hope to double our friction business to 800 crores and for 1,200 crores to come from composites. We have, of course, set tighter timelines internally. There will not be a secular growth toward achieving that target. After all, our primary commercial vehicles market in friction is the most volatile segment, and composites is essentially a new business. But we have ambitious targets, carefully graded investment plans that will build on successes, and highly committed managers, staff, and workers to strive towards these goals. On your behalf, on behalf of my colleagues, and on my own behalf, I wish to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to our stockists and our wholesalers, both in India and globally, for their support and for marketing the company's products. I'd like to thank State Bank of India, Standard Chartered Bank, ICICI Bank, and all the vehicle manufacturers, customers, suppliers, and investors for their continued and valuable support. I'd like to place on record our appreciation for the good works done by all our employees of the company. In the coming year, our director, Mr. Sambasivam, would have reached his tenure limit of 2 5-year terms under the Companies Act of 2013. While he was appointed under the Act in August of 2014, his services on your company's board goes back nearly 2 decades, and he has contributed mightily to your company's IT initiatives. We hope to informally draw on his counsel and knowledge, and I'd like to thank him here for his unstinting service to your company. Finally, I would like to thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for making it convenient to attend your company's 50th annual general meeting. I'd like to mention that 13 shareholders have registered as speaker shareholders for this 50th AGM. I would like to thank almost all of them for giving us your questions in advance. I recognize that this is one of
Chairman, sir, there is a disconnection in your audio. Can you just please check?
I'm sorry?
Sir, now you can speak.
Mr. Krishna Kumar S.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Krishna Kumar.
Yes, sir. So thank you very much for the wonderful opening remarks. Which was very comprehensive in terms of the business and the outlook. And congrats for a great turnaround last year.
Thank you.
So I have already forwarded some of the questions to you. So if you would want me to repeat, I can go through that.
No, that's fine. I've got all of your questions. I will answer the questions. If the questions you have submitted, I will answer them, Mr. Krishna Kumar.
Yeah. That's also. Thank you very much.
Will do. I'd like to call the next shareholder, Mr. Manjeet Singh.
Sir, Mr. Manjit Singh not joined the meeting.
Okay, that's fine. I will then go on to the next shareholder, Mr. Ashok Kumar Sankala.
Yes, Mr. Ashok Kumar, please unmute yourself and ask.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Good morning to Honorable Chairman, Managing Director, Board of Directors, and company's stakeholders, management personnel, and employees. I convey my best wishes to all participants of AGM for rich historic event Golden Jubilee year. As per my view, company's golden time started almost 3 years ago when company's management independently handed over under leadership of Managing Director Sri Krishna Mahesh. In these years, company revamped their working strategy, take hard decisions despite of adverse market and working conditions, whose fruitful results are shown in the year 2023-24. I wish companies good fortune with record sales figure and profitability in coming days. I highly appreciate our management's efforts to improve financial performance ratios and maintain sales volume and margin despite of flooding during December, fire tragedy during November, no production days of HCV due to high inventory in March 2024, including capacity expansion work at our plant. It is a very nice step taken by our company to launch new series of brake liner, pads, clutch plates, etc. As per ICRA's report, company is expected to spend about 30 crore capital expenditure during 24-25 for capacity expansion and debottlenecking, which will be very welcome step for company's future sales and profitability. As per annual report, company's efforts to replace furnace oil-based thermopacks by erecting advanced electrically heating systems which are highly efficient, minimum pollutant are profitable for the company in future. Company utilized 40% of total electricity through renewable resources and it intends to increase to 60% will benefit our company's ESG rating. It is observed that after-market sales in domestic market is stagnant. During the year, being a technocrat, I also involved in the transportation activities of SUV business, which requires frequent replacement of brake liner due to safety concern. It is fact that decision to replace liner, clutch plates, brake pads are taken by owner of vehicle and mechanic at garage level. Hence, to improve our replacement sales in highly competitive aftermarket, our company will require to make reach at garage level for convince to mechanic about product we supply to OE and after market are same quality with value for money and suggest to left spurious items order for branded market spares for looking to risk involved with braking systems. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I also am in receipt of some of the questions you have asked. I will also answer them as I've mentioned to Mr. Krishna Kumar. I would next like to call upon Mr. Satyanarayana Paliwal. I said one question. Swarnika Sankala is the same set. Ms. Swarnika Sankala, would you like to ask, Swarnika Sankala, if you would like to ask any questions separately, please unmute yourself and speak.
Swarnika Center, please unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, I would just want to congratulate everyone on a stellar result and the company either completing or nearing its 50th anniversary. The wisdom and dedication of this group with the strong leadership of Mr. MD has taken the company to new height and rightly reflects in the financial results. I had submitted, I think, around 5 questions. If you want, I can speak those out loud or you can take them up later. Either is fine.
Yes, ma'am, I have your questions. I will answer all of them. If you wish to, you can state them. Otherwise, I will just answer those questions at the end of the questions.
Okay, yeah, sure. I will quickly go over the questions then.
Please do.
First is around the first category is around capacity utilization and expansion. So I wanted to understand and what is the average capacity utilization of the 5 plants that we have today, and what is the plan for expanding their capacity in the current financial year. Also, would love it if you can shed some light on the capital outlay plan for the capacity expansion of 2024-25. The second next category is around the local replacement market, which also the previous speaker covered. So the local replacement market of the company's product is 5 to 7 times larger than the OEM market. So wanted to understand what efforts are in pipeline to capture this replacement market in the current financial year. And then does the company plan any type of campaign to raise awareness about the quality of its brand products in the aftermarket to increase sales at the consumption points and garages?
Yep.
And then the last category of questions is also what was covered in the keynote by Mr. MD is there were both fire and flood in the past year. So how does this impact the company's finances? How much was the insurance payment that you were able to receive? And has it actually been fully received, or is there still some amount pending from the insurance company?
Yes.
That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call upon Kirti Sankala.
Kirti Chakla not joined, sir.
Okay. In which case, I'll move on to Mr. Satyanarayan and Paliwal.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
First, I congratulate to all on occasion of Golden Jubilee year. I hope with this Golden Jubilee year, the golden era of our company has started. I praise our dynamic MD sir for their tireless efforts made for our company. In this FI, we face many challenges like flood, fire incident. After that, we achieve highest EPS of last 10 years and highest export sales. We hope in leadership of MD sir, we will write a new chapter in brake lining industry. Thank you, sir. I already submitted my questions for kind information, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I will answer your questions at the end of the questions. Thank you again for submitting them.
Thank you, sir.
Next, I would like to invite S. Lakshit Golecha.
Lakshit Gulecha, please unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
So, I think you have got my question, sir, because I have a lot of questions.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, you have my questions, sir, with you?
Yes, I do. I will answer
Yes.
them. And you're right, you do have a lot of questions, but I think it's very fair. I think shareholders get one chance to interact with management a year. I am perfectly happy with the questions you have. I will answer them to the best of my capabilities, sir.
So I'll just give a brief of my questions, sir.
You can.
So other shareholders will be very helpful on
Sure.
that. Yeah. So first of all, congratulations, sir, for dividend and highest profit, sir. For like after 10 years, we are back on dividend track and huge profits. It's just so being old shareholder, being with you in the tough times and finally seeing the greenery ahead. It's so exciting. Very happy, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so my first question, so 70 crores of our revenue comes from aftermarket and 132 crores come from exports and 155 from OEM. So almost 200 crores, which is 57% of our revenue, comes from mix which is more healthy and higher margin. So why is our margin profile very why doesn't it look healthy, sir? And so you are very vocal on aftermarket in the annual report, so which was 70 crores last time. So are you hopeful of touching 100 CR this year? And with after market increasing, exports growing and composite business kicking in, can we expect our margins to be 10% from Q2 at least? Because Q1 seems to be dull due to election. My next question, sir. Oh yeah. So, Volvo was the only one to show growth in June, and others were showed decline in their revenue. I mean the sales units sold in CV. So, Q1, Q2, are you hopeful, sir, that our composite business will take care and help us show some growth, or there'll be a soft H1 and then H2 will be much more compensating the H1 as well? So, we declared 2 rupees dividend in FY24, sir. So, sir, now I think our accumulated losses are completely nullified. So, from Q1, would we be paying 25% tax or 35% tax, sir? And so, this employee expenses, are you like, do we still feel that it will be on an uptrend, or this 14 crore is what is peaked out, and we will be looking at more like automation and reducing the employee expenses, or at least we are hopeful that it won't increase from here on? And so last year you mentioned that power cost will come down, but there was no decrease in the power cost. It was same at 33 crores as it was last year. So, sir, and Tamil Nadu government has also increased the prices again recently. So, sir, how do you plan to tackle this issue, sir?
Yep.
And so are we planning to diversify from commercial vehicles, sir? Because it is like 75% of our revenue almost comes from CV. So, sir, are we like planning to diversify from here, sir?
Mhm.
And sir, how much revenue came from composites business, sir, in FY24? And okay, and sir, last year you gave a very good comparison between Sundram Brake and Rani. It was very insightful, very helpful for us, sir. As minority shareholders, it was very helpful. So can you give a similar comparison for this year as well? Because on gross margins, I think we have managed to reach Rani. And so there was an 8 crore insurance receivable claim in our other financial assets. Sir, are the losses being shown in the PNL to the tune of 8 crores? Or how? I just want to understand how is the accounting being done for the same. And sir, can you give an example for whenever there is a lot of fluctuations in margins, I mean the raw material cost, how do we pass on the prices to our customers? Can you give us a real time example what Sundram Brake has faced? That's my last question, sir. Sir, capacity utilization and capex, sir. What is our capacity utilization and our capex plan? Sir, there is going to be a huge demand for our friction products due to China plus one policy. And one of our major customer, Brakes India, is expanding rapidly. They have recently announced a joint venture with Advix. So, sir, I hope we are not going to be conservative and be super aggressive to seize this humongous opportunity. So it's a one-time opportunity, sir, and after so much hard work, we are finally back on track into profits and all. I really don't want a company to miss this opportunity, sir. And I really feel that capacity should not be an issue for us, sir. We genuinely don't want SDL to miss this opportunity, sir.
Thank you.
And can we expect composites to have 15% share in our revenue, sir, from FY25 and taking into consideration both friction and composite? Will it be a good start from FY25 of 15% share, or it is still down the line? It will grow gradually. That's it, sir.
Thank you.
There are other questions.
So I will try to answer. I have all of your questions. I will try to answer all of them. You had sent me them. Thank you ahead of time. So I will answer all of the questions I can to the best of my capabilities. I'd like to call Mr. N. Sudhir Gulecha.
Mr. Sudhir Gulecha, please unmute yourself and speak.
Hello.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Am I audible? Very good morning, sir.
Audible.
Yeah, Mr. Lakshit had few more questions, but you just continue like from the list what we have sent it to you, sir.
Yes, I will answer the questions that you kindly sent. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I'll introduce myself, Krishna, sir. So my grandfather was a shareholder of your company. I think your CFO, sir, knows about this.
Yes.
And we are very long-term shareholders.
Great.
And we are very proud to be a shareholder of your company, sir, as always.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, sir, and all the best for the future. And I'll just I'll brief my questions very shortly so that it'll be easy for you to just go through or something like that. Sir, first of all, sir, when can we expect our company to be debt free?
Yes.
And sir, are we facing any supply chain issues now or everything is settled?
Yeah.
Sir, our R&D expenses has reduced from 8 crore to 6 crore. Any reason behind it, sir?
Hmm.
How should we look at these numbers for this year, sir?
Yeah.
Can you talk about our patent from DEFCON and how crucial it is to gain market share? Sir, are the carbon fibers used in composites imported or sourced locally? Because there's a company called Elentas which manufactures this locally, and it's a German company, the resin of the composite. Sir, there was a tremendous fall in imports. Can you share the significance of this?
Yeah.
What has been the impact of Red Sea issue? Are sales being pushed to Q1 or Q2? Is the issue behind us now?
Yeah.
So what is our order book as of today for friction and composites business? And in how many months are supposed to fulfill them? So in the annual report, you have mentioned that in near to medium term, we will be facing gross margin issues because input raw material can be changed quickly. We are working hard to mitigate the impact of increase in raw material by using alternatives. Will this help us in reaching 60% GM, the gross margin, from H2 onwards? Also,
Sorry. Hello.
hello, sir. Yeah.
Yes, it also
Sir,
and then you stop. I'm sorry.
yeah. Also, sir, last year, when AGM happened in September, after 6 months, you were guiding a growth of more than 20%, 20 to 25%, but the growth has been degrowth. Can you give some clarity on that, sir? It will be helpful for us to understand the business, sir. And the last thing, sir, we pray God that this company reaches your target of 2000 crore by 2029, 2020, 2030. And we be with you for till 2035 at least.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot and all the best to the whole team. And may God take care of the health of everyone, sir.
Thank you so
Both.
much.
Thank you. And CFO, sir, thanks a lot for everything, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Very good day. Very good.
Thank you. I'd like to call Mr. Ganesh A.
Mr. Ganesh, please unmute yourself and speak.
Mr. Ganesh, you're barely audible. Unfortunately, no, sir. We still can't hear you. No. Wait.
Mr. Ganesh, please unmute it.
Hello, sir. Actually, he is not S Ganesh, sir. He is Ganesh A.
Ganesh A.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, then Ganesh not joined the meeting.
Okay. He sent his questions ahead of time. I will still answer those questions.
Okay.
I would like to then call upon Kishan Pal Singh.
Okay.
Mr. Kishan Pal Singh.
I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Really, it's a pleasure for me, and I really congratulate the whole Sundaram Brake Lining management. My best of about both our questions are already covered in the keynote of our managing director Krishna, and my name is also Krishna. So really, congratulations, Krishna sir. It's my firm belief that if management have vision, focus, and aggressiveness, then success will definitely come. And this already shown in the results, and my colleague Ashok Shankla already described that company have recovered from the back days to the lighter days. And I have written in my question that when will company achieve the 1,000 crore turnover? So our MD already told that in 29 to 30, we will achieve 2,000 crores. It's really remarkable, and we wish that company will flourish and achieve this target. Sir, already you have told that you will reduce your power cost. So
Yes.
kindly describe that how you will reduce. Have you established some solar panels or wind energy or any other kind of renewable energy system, because your furnaces are on electrical base? So nowadays we are also serving in the industry. So the input cost to be in control, then only we, because you have very low equity. If you control the input cost and focus on the aftermarket by approaching up to the base level, up to Mistri level, then this company will surpass the great results.
Thank you so much.
Like I give you one example only, in the automobile sector, LG Balakrishnan. LG Balakrishnan is only produced one a motorcycle chains, that is roll-on. If you go to Mistri, he never recommend for the OEM chain, or he told directly only the roll-on. So he captured 73% market share in this uh, in India itself.
Yes.
So if, because we have the TVS logo is very powerful, and you have you can use that logo. So if we focus on aftermarket, then really the sky is the limit.
Thanks.
Really great, congratulations and best wishes and sadhuvat to all management team.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call Chirag Solanki.
Mr. Chirag Solanki, please unmute yourself and speak.
Mr. Chirag Solanki.
Mr. Chirag, you are unmuted. You can speak now.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Good morning, one and all present in the meeting. I
Good
feel
morning.
privileged to be part of the 50th AGM of the company. And I'm thankful to the management of SBL for giving healthy dividend in in its golden jubilee year, and hope to receive the same in the coming years also, sir. Sir, I have forwarded 4 set of questions. I hope you will address me in the coming days, or should I ask?
No, so I have a questions. I
What's the
will answer
question?
them in this AGM itself, and I will answer
Okay,
all of the questions that you have sent us to the best of my capabilities. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Solanki.
Okay.
I would like to call Mr. Rohit Balakrishna.
Mr. Rohit Balakrishnan, please unmute yourself and speak.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I've already sent my list of questions in
Yes, sir.
advance.
Yes.
Yeah, and just to add to that, to the the revenue goals that you've set for the company, which you mentioned a few minutes ago.
Yes.
That's a staggering, 5.5 times increase over the current revenues in just in span of 5 to 6 years. So, what gives you the confidence? If you could just dive deeper into that,
Sure.
into what our strategy is going to be, how we are planning to achieve it,
Yeah.
and I think the size of the company will also have to change, right? So, how are we setting the company up for to achieve this growth?
Yes.
And what's giving you the confidence? If you could just dive deeper into the strategy, that would be grateful.
Yep.
That would be very helpful. Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Next, I'd like to call Mr. Hitesh Kumar Kiran.
Mr. Kitesh, please unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sir, thank you very much for this opportunity. And sir, I would want to appreciate you with the way you have been conducting AGMs for the last 3, 4 years. Appreciate your efforts in answering each and every question. Sir, I've already sent my list to you.
Yes, sir.
One you have the questions, but a very simple thing, sir. I've compared, Sundram Brakes with Rane, with Matsu, with JB Allied and Frictions, all these companies to see where are we missing on the cost structure part. So there was a gross margin difference which we saw that getting corrected last year. But below the gross margin also there are various cost structures, especially your power and fuel and your stores and space consumption, which is significantly higher over to competition.
Yes.
If you can, you did last 2 years you've been mentioning this, that you're making an effort to move from oil furnace to electric grid supply to
Yes.
correct the power and fuel cost, but that we don't see that in the numbers yet. What is the reason, and when can we really see a meaningful improvement in this cost structure, which will get reflected in our EBITDA margins? If you could be precise over here, it will be very helpful. And secondly, sir, as the previous speaker had also mentioned, see, the 2,000 crores that you have set a target for yourself. One is having a vision for a company, which is, obviously setting goals high and striving to reach as close as possible. And another one is, having some sort of a visibility to the way things are spanning out. So, in one of my questions, I'm also mentioning the kind of R&D spends that you have been doing for the last 5, 6 years.
Yep.
It's almost 100 crores, which is a significant amount for the size of a company like ours. Now, thanks for, making a mention about composites in this AGM. If you can talk more about this particular product and specific applications where we have already had a
Yes.
breakthrough, that will help us better. And sir, lastly, again, sir, I had visited your company. It's a. So, I mean, don't take me wrong, but then it's a very small setup. The management bandwidth and the kind of targets that you are aspiring to. There's a significant change in the corporate, the senior management team level that you need to take. So, how are you planning to have these changes? If you could talk about it, it'll be very helpful. And lastly, sir, so this is the only time that you speak, and we don't hear you neither or in the TV interviews, nor there are any calls or there is a public disclosure of any information that is happening in the company. So request you to please be as detailed as possible, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hitesh. I do take these AGMs very seriously and I try to answer all of your questions. So that's why I will go through every one of the questions that have been asked. And I hope.
Sir, Chairman, sir, one of the sixth speaker shareholder, Kirti Shankla, also join. Can we allow them?
Yes, please. Mr. Kirti Shankla, please join and ask your questions. I think we already received them, but if you have anything else
Kirti
to add.
Shankla, please, please unmute and ask.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Good morning, Chairman, sir, Board of Directors, and my fellow stakeholders. I congratulate one and all for Golden Jubilee year. We wish to continue faith in company due to its limitless potential, dedicated, committed, and hardworking leadership, and talented team also. Wishing more and more value creation in next decade. Although I have submitted my questions earlier, but repeating for convenience. As previous speakers told about, the power and fuel cost of our company is quite high as compared to sales and other peers. What remedial measures are applied by company for reduction of above cost rationally? My second question was, our sales in domestic aftermarket is almost stagnant during the year. Please comment route measures are taken to improve placement market. And my third question was, our company has been exposed to flood and fire accident during the year. Please explain about the loss arising due to the accident. And I also wish to know about claim settlement and interim relief received by the company. And my fourth question was, how many thermopacks are required to be replaced till date under energy conservation program? Provide expected timeline to replace them. Best wishes to all entire leadership along each step of your journey. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you all for all of
Chairman, sir, there is an interruption in the
10 seconds.
video and audio. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, there is a disconnect. Now you can speak. Yes, we can able to hear you, please.
Okay. I was saying I will answer the questions. Mr. Krishna Kumar, I will start off Mr. Krishna Kumar's questions. This first question was, can you guide us on how FY25 is looking from a growth perspective in various markets? I'm limited, Mr. Krishna Kumar, in how much I can guide you on FY25 because of, SEBI ties my hands in many ways. But I will talk to you about our budgets and our hopes for 25. We have planned growth from 2023-24 sales, where export is expected to grow about 14%, the OEMs by about 15%, and the independent aftermarket by about 34%. We hope to achieve these sales. I will keep coming back to this theme that the commercial vehicle segment, the one that we mentioned, as I mentioned in my speech, is the most volatile segment in the entire automotive market. You've all seen, and some of the shareholders themselves mentioned in their questions, that Q1, there were the vehicle manufacturers reduced their production, just as we saw in Q4, in anticipation of the election and spend and other elements there. However, we have both one of the reasons why your company was built by previous founder chairman and others to have a broad range of market, meaning both the export and domestic, and export being half of our sales, is to deal with this volatility and to blunt it to some degree. So it is very difficult to predict quarter by quarter or half by half what will happen in this segment or that segment. But I can tell you our continued focus, and we expect that, while some segments might decline, other segments will increase. These will be driven by geopolitics, this will be driven by world events, by current affairs, market sentiment. So, but I will share with you our budgetary predictions. Quarter by quarter, I would recommend that we look at the company's story over the course of years rather than quarters, because that is how I try to manage for the long-term shareholder. And I think that is how that is our philosophy from the beginning. The second question was domestic growth seems to be suffering. Are we losing market share and any reasons? As I will with many other questions, I want to step back for context. If you go back 5 years, if you look at our market share in buses, it was 72%. Our market share in truck was 44%. Now let's flash forward to last year. Last year, our market share in buses was 84%, and our market share in truck is 59%. In both cases, we are over 10% and up to 15% higher than we were 5 years ago. During the COVID years, when we were the only ones who had been approved and were able to supply and went through the effort of ensuring that we supplied, we achieved, in buses up to 90% and in trucks up to 79%. These are going to fluctuate. They will always fluctuate. This is going to be whenever customers view quality, performance, reliability as something that is important, SBL share will increase. We will continue to monitor prices, we will continue to monitor capacity, and we will try to ensure that we maintain our OE share as well. But there will be fluctuations around this, and we expect that to happen, because if you want a high quality product consistently, it is going to cost a certain amount. So I think there will be fluctuation. Our sales in the branded spares component, which is again goes to the OES market, is good. And the independent aftermarket, we hope to grow through our stockist program. So hopefully we will be able to correct it. However, in the OE market, to address this question directly, we have an issue where some of our assemblers have tried to bring in additional competition into this field through methods we would not endorse, but we will continue to fight. We have fought for 45 years in fair competition and always won. As long as the competition is fair, we strongly believe that your company's products are the best and will succeed. And we will continue to fight as per our ethical standards. Question number 3, the insurance claim of 8 crores. What is the confidence on receipt of the claims, and has it been received already this year? There were similar questions along this. As I addressed in my speech, the 8 crores covers materials damaged, which means raw materials and finished goods and work in process. There was an additional 6 crores of equipment and machinery that was damaged. And so the total is 14 crores during the devastating floods. We hope to receive these amounts in September of this year. We believe and are assured that all of this amount is going to be received. So this is the status right now. So that's the answer to the question. We are confident. The confidence level is extremely high, over 95%. Hopefully in September of this year. So far, however, none of it has been received. We expect to receive it in September. So I think that answers a couple of questions. There is a question number 4. What is the reason for such strong reduction in inventory in FY24, and is it sustainable? The reason for the reduction in inventory is during the COVID years. And I'm sorry to keep going back to COVID years, but recent history influences current performance, as does long-term history. So we were the only reliable supplier of high quality friction to OEs. Very often we were single sourced. And even for export. Now, I always have said, if your truck doesn't start in the morning, it's a bad day. But if your truck doesn't stop, it's a really bad day. So for us to be able to supply highly reliable material required us to have sufficient amount of raw materials and keep adequate stock of finished goods to supply to the market. These raw material stocks had to be, because I'm sure everybody remembers the massive logistics and shipping problems that existed during COVID. So therefore, we had to maintain high stocks during COVID to ensure we could meet our customers' demand. And we did. We have reduced that because the amount of safety stock that we need to maintain because of the reduction in COVID supply lines and supply times have reduced. We have reduced these inventories. We believe to a large degree it is sustainable. We will not pull them back all the way to pre-COVID because there are, again, as I mentioned, disruptions in terms of the Iran-Hamas Israel war, potential disruptions due to China, and we'll have to deal with all of those and prepare to ensure that we can maintain supplies to our customers. Question number 5 is, what are the benefits we get from working with Madurai Aragar, and can you explain? So to give a little bit of context on this, our company's products, SBL's products, essentially are not protected by patent. They are protected by trade secret. So a lot of our raw materials are specially tuned to this company. Madurai Aragar allows us to have IP protection, to have just-in-time supplies, and better quality and lower prices than the competition. And we benchmark against the competition. We buy from ASK Chemicals and Estacoat as well. And we continually ensure that we are getting the highest quality with the lowest amount of inventory we need to keep on our shop floor at the lowest total cost of ownership. So only upon that do we do it. And this is why it exists. Phenol formaldehyde is not just the resin that we get, is not peanut butter. It basically, each one is a very highly specific formula. And we try to ensure that our IP gets protected even when Aragar Resins produces for us. The next question was the composites business. What is the capital employed in the business? Layout of medium-term plans in the business, applicable in automotive, EV, industrial, drones, aerospace. Where are we focused? What kind of revenues and new investments in that composite material business can you expect by financial year 27? So the composites business is both a new business and it's not. As I've said, if you look at our business, and really we have been producing functional composites for 45 years. And while it is our 50th AGM, it literally is 45 years of production. So 45 years of production have been going on. We have gained experience over this time, and we've been supplying automotive almost exclusively. We have supplied some industrial, and this is an area of focus for us. But with composites, structural composites, we see that we can expand the structural composites business into areas not only in automotive, but aerospace, defense, industrial, and potentially even consumer as well. But we will look very closely to ensure we do not end up with the same margin pressures and industry dynamics as we have in automotive alone, and try to ensure that the projects we take on are highly profitable. These materials are largely novel, and our ability and strengths in terms of manufacturing capacity, IP, our ability to work with multi-materials, not just carbon fiber, but glass fiber also, we think will give us unique advantages that nobody else in this industry has. So these are our goals. I've also mentioned our 2030 goal for this segment to grow to 2,000 crores. I would like to caution everyone that these goals are goals. How exactly we achieve these goals, what will our growth be exactly in Q1 and Q2 of this year, or Q3 and Q4 of this year, these are not things that can be predicted. You set an overall goal, and how you achieve that goal will be achieved through multiple plans and strategies. They will change based on variety of things. So to predict what we will exactly achieve in 2027 will be difficult. But we will work strongly towards this goal of 1,200 crores. The reason we have some confidence in this is we are already supplying Norton motorcycles. Norton, as you know, is one of the world's most premier motorcycles. We supply the fairings for that. And we will soon be commencing supplies for trucks as well as aerospace product. So it is not without any basis that I set a target of 1,200 crores and say, wouldn't it be nice for us to have 2,000 crores and 1,200 crores? There are plans in place. It will take look at what is the capital intensity, what are the capital outlays, and how do we achieve these capitals. And over the years, as we begin to succeed in various segments, I will come to you and explain that in much greater detail at each AGM. The query number 7, Padi plant seems to be in the midst of bustling residential hub, and we hear that the TVS group companies are exploring monetization of the land while moving facilities to more optimal locations. Can you state your thoughts on this move? What kind of land bank do we have at Padi? So I'll answer the last question first here. We have about 20 acres of land in Padi, and we are aware that some of the companies of the erstwhile TVS group have moved some of their manufacturing to other locations. And we always consider all of our options available to us, but it's a multi-stakeholder decision for us to make. We are committed in the now and in the future to being in Padi, but we will also look at is the allocation and usage of the land optimal, and try to consider the best interests of everybody, all the stakeholders involved. So, Mr. Krishnakumar, I hope I have answered all of your questions. I will move on to Mr. Manjeet Singh's question. Mr. Manjeet Singh has asked, what is the R&D spend on the turnover in percentage? Mr. Manjeet Singh, we spent about 6.2 crores in the last year, which is about 1.76% of our turnover. What is the impact on sales during Deepavali and other festival seasons? We, in our aftermarket, we plan for the festival seasons, so that there will be pre-buying in certain cases. In certain festival seasons, there will be a reduction in sales. These are natural cycles that we plan for. Similarly, with vehicle manufacturers and the export markets, there is seasonality to them as well. I think this company's growth over the many decades have been to try and mitigate some of these seasonality impacts, but they cannot be completely avoided. With our expansion also into composites, we would expect some additional variation to come in, and we hope that that will mitigate rather than magnify some of these variations. The third question is, what are the gifts to the shareholders or well-wishers? Sir, I hope the longest and best gift that we can give to our shareholders and well-wishers is the growth and performance of the company, that we can do so and then provide dividend to the shareholders. We hope to informally try and achieve about 10% of our profits to the shareholders. That is a goal I set internally for us. We will try to achieve that, and we hope that that will be enough for you to buy your own gifts and snacks. The next question from Swarnika Sankala. is what is the average capacity of the 5 plants? What is the plan for capacity expansion in the year 2024-25? The average capacity is 70%. But generally, I dislike averages because, as I say, the head in the refrigerator and feet in the oven is basically average temperature. So I think the thing we have to look at is by sector and by segment, what is the capacity? I would argue that our blocks, commercial vehicle linings capacity utilization is more around 85%, and our non-commercial vehicle capacity utilization is around 45 to 50%. We are trying to see whether we can adapt some of the non-commercial vehicle capacity to be usable for commercial vehicle as well. A lot of our presses are multi-use and general purpose. So we will try to adapt some of that. But we are planning on investing. This is as somebody had said 30 crores in investment. I don't believe that number is right, unless they know something that I don't. I think the numbers are much more in the range of 10 to 15 crores. But again, we always monitor the situation. Investment, however, is not a short term, we will react to quarterly demand. There is some degree of grand strategy, which is what we plan to build towards. So it's not just strategy, but grand strategy, which is a build has to be done some years in advance to pay out in the future, which is why if I would look at our composites, our investment and composites started off very small, but it started back in 2016. Very small investments, investigation of the segment, things like that. But they've reached, when they go ahead and reach a stage where we have confidence in investing, we actually do. We are very aware that these shareholder funds are your funds, and therefore we try to be the best stewards we can of them. The second question is the local replacement markets of the company's products is 5 to 7 times larger than the OEM market. What efforts are in the pipeline to capture the local replacement market for the year 2024-25? We are 100% in concord that the aftermarket is much larger than the OE and the OES, the OE spares market, the branded spares market. I, however, will caution you that while we estimate that the OE market is about 250 crores, the branded spares market is probably about 350 crores, and then the independent aftermarket is about 800 crores or so. And there's a CRISIL report also that puts out these numbers. I will caution you that the independent aftermarket is there are a large number of completely unbranded players in this market where quality and reliability are not as highly valued. But those parts of this market that highly value these markets, we will pursue with single-minded focus. Someone asks later on, what is our margin differential? We make about 15% more in the independent aftermarket than we make with our OE. So therefore, it must be a focus. This is why we started the stockist, direct-to-stockist markets for large stockists, and we will continue to pursue those. Those will be our points of distribution. However, our salespeople will focus on driving demand at the garages and fleets so that we can draw from the stockists, from the distributors, from the small retailers, so that we create the demand that will drive the sales. So we were looking very much forward to a pull model of demand, and we hope to be able to do that better as we go direct to stockists. The question number 3 is, does the company plan to campaign and raise awareness about the quality of brand products in the local replacement market to increase sales at the consumption and garage points? I believe I've answered that. But we do believe that we will protect our company's CV linings and other product to the best of our ability. And this is something that I think is critically important to your company, given its margin impact and vital interest to the company. Query number 4, the company was exposed to fire and flood in the past year. How does this impact the company's finances? How much was the insurance payments received? Has it been received fully, or is there still some amount pending from the insurance company? Yes, unfortunately, we have had a tough year in terms of natural calamities. Fortunately, it does not impact the company's finances. While it has reduced to some degree, we had to buy additional raw materials, and that may have increased our use of working capital a little bit. Almost all of it is covered by insurance. And while we have not yet received the amount, I am assured that it has all been surveyed and almost all of it is expected in September. I'm sorry. Also, some of our excess capacity comes into use in terms of being able to use it in the case of these accidents. And some of our other plants stepped up wonderfully to try and meet OE and independent aftermarket and export markets needs during this flood. Please shed some light on the capital outlay plans for capacity expansion during 2024-25. As I mentioned, majority of our thinking is in the 10 to 15 crore region. In addition to replacing some of those machines that were destroyed during the flood. So we will go ahead and spend that money mainly on our friction side, but we will also be making investments in composite sides that's in addition to this. And that is very much dependent on as we see the market move towards adoption, increased adoption. Since I've already talked to you in broad strokes about 3 customers, as we get more information, we will share them at the next AGM. As I said, our company is not one where dramatic events generally change the company's business plans on a monthly or quarterly basis. So I hope to be able to give you more information in the coming AGM. The next question from Mr. Satyanarayan, a set of questions from Mr. Satyanarayan Paliwal. Company's turnover was stagnant during the current financial year. What are the main contributing factors to the above? I think, as I mentioned in the chairman's speech, while exports grew about 14%, our domestic segment was the one that shrunk. The OE segment was a major contributor to that. I think the main element there, as I mentioned, is the Q4 reduction in vehicle manufacturer production. And as I've said, the other element there was some minor share modifications based on vehicle manufacturers adding some lower cost suppliers as well. We believe that essentially you get the quality you pay for, and we believe that that share will return to us as they get to experience more of the quality of the other suppliers and compare it to us. The element, one thing I would like us to look at in terms of where do we plan to grow, and this answers some other shareholders' questions as well. When you have 80% share in bus and over 50% share in truck, if we wish to double our friction sales from 400 crores now to 800 crores in 2030, it is obviously not going to come from doubling our OE share. I mean, the OE market will grow sometimes at 4%, sometimes at 15%, so on and so forth, but that's not going to get us to 800 crores. We don't want 100% share necessarily at every OE. What we would like to say is the OE market will grow somewhat. It will see ups and downs, but our focus has to be in the export and independent aftermarket, because the independent aftermarket, as I mentioned, is a 15% margin improvement over the OE segment, and the export is somewhere in between. So export is obviously not one customer, it's a broad range of customers, as is independent aftermarket. So our focus must be in growing these markets where our share is nowhere near where it is in OE. But we will continue to develop the best product possible, which is highly tested before deployment. And the OEs are certifications of the same. Because before a vehicle manufacturer puts a lining in his truck or bus, he does significant amount of testing. So we want to make sure that our product has the capability and we can prove it at the OE, but we will also see share growth and increase in sales from the independent aftermarket and export. Question number 2, we're having 68 growth sales revenue from domestic independent aftermarket, which is stagnant. Please narrate the future of the company for improving the same. I think stock is and our increased focus there is something which I've already addressed. Query number 3, we're replacing furnace oil thermopacks to electric thermopacks for the last 2 years. What is planning of the company to change thermopacks? How much of the thermopacks have been changed? How much time will be expected for requiring the replacement of thermopacks? Sir, your frustration is the same as mine, and I encourage this question. We have over 10 thermopacks. We have replaced 5 of them, and we are continuing to replace the other 5. making these changes to large infrastructure, which are plant-wide, is not trivial. It's like fixing a car as the car is running. We have to be cognizant of customer orders, capacity, the press types, recertifying the product, making sure that the product coming out of the new system is as good or better than the old system. The process doesn't suffer for it. And so some of these things take a little bit longer. Also, if you look at, as I said, not only recent history, but past history also affects us. A lot of these presses ordered over the last 45 years of our history have their own unique modifications that were there, unique specifications. So we have to make sure that the standardization occurs at the same time so that we can deploy a common solution and we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. So we will continue to deploy. And these, over the next 2 years, we hope to have these fully changed. I continue to drive it. It continues to be a source of significant frustration to your management that we're not moving faster, and we will put in our efforts to speed it up as much as we can. We are aware of this gap in energy consumption between us and our competitors. This is something that we are focused on. This is one of our 5 strategic goals that we focus on to achieve, and we will achieve them. I assure you of that. When? I assure you, we are trying to speed it up as much as possible. As I mentioned in my speech, hopefully in the next 2 years, we will have 100% of the thermopacks turned off. I do want to say this also. Thermopacks use furnace oil. So the main reason for us switching from thermopack to electrically heated furnaces, thermopacks, individual THS systems, is to reduce volatility, not just cost. Oil prices are highly volatile, as we've seen in the Red Sea in terms of uncertainty, the Ukraine-Russian conflict, the war in the Middle East, potential wars with China and Taiwan. All of these things affect oil prices, which immediately affects energy costs. While THS will solve, electrification will solve the volatility issue, it will not directly affect, it will not hugely affect the energy impact right away. Also, I will add that, while our energy expend has not dropped, this is despite the fact that we electrified and the fact that we have not done it all the way and energy costs went up and the Tamil Nadu electricity prices rose. So I would encourage you to look at all of those factors to understand to some degree that despite efforts is where the energy price has been held stable. We do plan to get this down. We would hope to achieve 5% by next year and the end of next year, to be very clear. And we hope to further reduce that. And I will talk a little bit further as other questions come up. The question number 4 is, please provide separate sales data for our product supply to CV, MCV, HCV, PV, 2 and 3-wheeler, tractors and railways. HCV, a heavy commercial vehicle, is about 67% of our sales. Light commercial vehicle about 8%, medium commercial vehicle about 5%, passenger vehicles about 7%, 2-wheeler about 5%. Will this change? Undoubtedly. Some segments will grow, some segments will shrink, production of some segments will increase, some segments will decrease. We have general purpose presses, which we can adapt from one to the other, and we will do it. The company have any plans for capacity expansion for railway brake block? I think strategy is not just what we will do, but what we will not do. Unfortunately, in railways, SBL does well when quality and product performance and high ethical standards are valued. It has been our experience that railways is not an area where these are a competitive advantage play to the best. However, we are always open to looking at opportunities. And if there is such an opportunity in railways where our strengths are suitable for this market, we will look at it. But right now, our plans do not include railway brake block at this moment. Query number 6 is, we are achieving highest export sales in the last 10 years in this financial year, but export sales are run in a certain range. If any initiatives are being taken to increase the export sales, as I mentioned, OE is share limited and growth is limited there. However, export and independent aftermarkets are definite areas where we will make significant efforts. In the export market specifically, I mentioned in my chairman's speech itself, copper-free pads is something we have introduced and we are seeing significant potential growth. We will continue to focus on that. Query number 7. We're fulfilling our 45% energy requirement by renewable energy and target to 75% in the coming years. Have we any plans to establish solar plants or wind farms? In short, the answer is no. We believe that renewable energy has tremendous advantages in terms of pollution and in terms of running cost. However, we were aware of both the benefits and the limits of renewable. As you know, our company runs 3-shift operations. Therefore, solar power, unfortunately, the sun doesn't run at night. And therefore, any advantages of wind or solar occur from this rather fraudulent concept of banking, which is that we can somehow store these power sources for significant periods of time in the case of wind and short periods of times in the case of solar. Fully leveled costs of these actually still do not match what we need. And if the government were ever to change its policy and we invest too highly in these areas, there is a real danger that we are stuck with stranded resources. In terms of safety and ensuring that your funds are managed effectively, we want to have enough of solar and wind to ensure that we can lower our cost, but do not become stranded by any risk in the future. If I were to speak honestly from personal experience, I would say I hope to God that we recognize that nuclear is the path forward for stable baseload, and we are not driven by the vagaries of the environmental movement driving political change. The next question comes from Mr. Sudhir Golecha. Sir, 155 crores of our revenue comes from OEM, 70 crores from the aftermarket, and 132 crores from export. Aftermarket and export being the highest margin business is about 200 crores, which is about 57% of our revenue. Despite this, why is our margin not healthy? Can you share the margin profile for each of our businesses, like for OEM, aftermarket, exports, and composites? I think I've talked to you about this. Our aftermarket margins are about 15% higher than for our OE, and exports are somewhere between that. We target higher margins for our composites because this is an area where expertise and quality standards are even higher. So I hope that answers it. We hope to continue to make efforts in terms of both revenue increase and fixed and variable cost decreases to improve our margins. In the annual reports, we are very vocal about aftermarket businesses. Will it touch 100 crores mark from FY24 base of 70 crores? So with the aftermarket increasing, exports growing, and composites business kicking in, can we see net margins touch 10% from Q2? At least Q1 was dull due to elections. Again, as I said, we don't look at this business quarter to quarter. While we study the financials, I don't think our initiatives are to drive quarterly targeting. We have a view on how the market will evolve, how the dynamics of the geopolitics as well as demographics work. Demand and the customer's demand doesn't occur in a short-term vacuum. So I do not want to talk about quarterly performance, not only because it's difficult to predict, but also because SEBI limits me from saying anything on this. So I will say I have set my goal for you and we will work towards those goals. And we will try to focus on these areas which are higher margin as well. Sir, are we prepared? Question number 4. Sir, are we prepared for a decline in revenue in H1 because the CV industry looks dull for H1 because of elections? And I think this question was also talked about. Volvo was the only one to grow its sales in June. So, I think this question highlights the cyclicality of the market that I talked about. Is Q1 the market going to be down? Q2 market going to be up in commercial vehicles? OE, how much is OE production going to be? What did the budget do? We are buffered to some degree by our ability to have multiple geographies. So I think you will not see dramatic fluctuations in our sales, but there will be impacts. And we will try our best to try and level and have growth despite them. Query number 5, we've declared ₹2 dividend, which implies our accumulated losses is nil now. So from Q1, will we be paying 25% tax or 35% tax rate? So the accumulated book loss has been made nil, which allows us to pay a dividend. However, we have income tax carry forward losses, sorry, and we will be paying MAT plus 15% surcharge and cess as applicable on the book profits from Q1 until the carry forward IT losses are made nil. As you know, in other countries, this is called a tax shield. But in India, we don't believe in shields against taxes. And I'm sure the government will be happy to collect taxes as soon as it is viable. So we will pay our taxes as is required. And hopefully at some point, the government will also see fit to reduce the tax take from profit-making industry. Query number 6. So many industries are facing worker shortage issues. There was a big jump in our employee expense in Q4. Do we see numbers continuing to increase in the quarters to come as well? The total employee cost for the financial year is 48 crores. We have made significant efforts to keep employee costs growth down. You will see before COVID and after COVID that we have had actually reductions in employee costs in some cases. We do not focus on any individual target for employee costs, but we try to ensure that the employee costs are what is right for our company. As you know, we are investing in composites and we are investing in automation and other elements as well. Those will change the mix of employee costs that we expect to see between workers, staff, managers, highly skilled workers, and so on. So we will keep a close watch on it. We realize that revenue growth has not been where we expect, and therefore employee costs have spiked up from time to time. We hope that with increased revenue growth, that we will see a reduction in employee costs. Our target for employee costs is 10%, and that is what we hope to achieve. So you've mentioned issues related to power cost. Will there be any increase in power costs? Do you expect to see drastic falls because of renewable sources? I think I've answered this question, and I will move on. If you can quantify how much are we planning to save in costs this year, gross margins, power costs, employee costs, as you did in the last AGM while comparing to RANE. I think I spent some time comparing us to RANE last year so that you are aware of these items. There has not been significant dramatic changes either in RANEs or us. We will continue to focus on these, but I do caution you that some of these things do take some time. We will continue to focus on these issues. We are aware of them. Efforts are on. Let me give you an example. Energy cost. While I've talked about energy cost of TEHS and versus Thermopack, which is mainly around fluctuation of costs. If you look at our electrical spend, 16% of our electrical spend is on our dust control system, for which we have identified, tested methods to reduce that by 40%. But to deploy that is not something that we can do. Firstly, we have to test, confirm, begin deployment, and then start seeing the impact of that deployment. So in a continuing business, you're not going to see energy cost switch at the turn of a button. It will happen. It will happen over time. We are making efforts. We have Paretoed out what is the top user of energy, next user of energy, so on and so forth. And efforts are being made on every element to try and reduce that, focusing on the top elements first and on the ones after that. Sir, under other financial assets is 8 crore of insurance receivable claim. How is the accounting done? Are the losses to the tune of 8 crore shown in the P&L? I think the insurance claim made by the company for the damaged materials in Chennai is amounting to 8 crores as per IND-AS. The accounting has been done. And I've talked about this in more detail. So I hope your question is answered. Sir, is there any price increase in line? How is price increase taken? Is it done immediately? Can you help us understand this with a real example that SBL has faced? I talked to you about COVID. I think it depends on the market segment. So for OE, we have, for export, we have contractual built-in elements for raw material prices, for shipment cost, and for Forex. So those are done, adjusted based on this on a set time period. For OE, unfortunately, there is not a contractual adjustment. So we do file for price increases, but then a negotiation happens. So this is where I talked to you about the fact we were burdened with increases in raw material cost that we carried during COVID for almost 2 years. And finally, were able to pass through. So I think in the independent aftermarket, we have greater power to pass through immediately. So the answer is it depends. But however, we cannot change raw material willy-nilly because ours is a safety critical product and we have the TVS brand to protect. So therefore, we are very careful and conscious of the decision of changing any raw material, and we do it with a lot of care, which reduces our flexibility compared to some others. So what is our capacity utilization and capex plans? There's going to be huge demand for friction products due to China Plus One policy and one of our major customers in expanding rapidly. So I think we have talked about our capacity plans, and just to correct you, Brakes India is not a customer but a fellow assembler of our product. Our customer is the vehicle manufacturers. If the vehicle manufacturers are the ones who choose the friction because they realize how important it is to the safety of the vehicle. So we will work with the vehicle manufacturers to increase our share, and we're working on it on multiple levels. The Advix Brakes India partnership is on passenger vehicle alone, which is not a major part of our business. But we will work on that also with passenger vehicle manufacturers to increase our share with the vehicle manufacturers themselves. Query number 12. Sir, does our capacity have a flexibility to manufacture both friction and functional composites? And can we expect composites to have 15% share in our revenue from FY25 onwards? And could you please provide the margin profile, sir? Yes, one of the reasons we chose structural composites is there are many similarities between the equipment. Not all equipment is reusable, and nor is it desirable to do so, because we would like to use our friction capacity also for our friction, because we hope to grow that business. So that is the case. I cannot make a projection on composites. It's a new business. If the business takes off, it could be 15%, could be greater, it could be lower. Could I provide margin profiles? Again, I cannot, because it depends on which businesses take off and what share of the business they do. We have set internally a target that is higher than our friction business for composites business, and we hope to be able to achieve that. And also, given the range of industries we're looking at is broader, we hope not to have the same automotive levels of margin and hope to have higher margin targets. Sir, are we facing any supply chain issues now, or is everything settled now? I don't think there is ever a settled issue when it comes to supply chain. But right now, we are not, our issues are significantly lower than they were in the past with COVID. However, we are always aware, as I have mentioned, that there are multiple sources of potential disruption, and we are trying to see how to deal with that. Query number 14. Sir, our share of businesses have increased from 32%. Share of exports has increased from 32% to 40%. In the annual report, you maintained due to dollar strengthening, Middle East and African markets are facing issues. How much was the revenue loss? What is the ratio of our exports to US, Europe, Middle East, Africa, etc.? So I think that the ratio of our exports is US is about 54%, Africa about 15%, Middle East about 10%, Europe and others are much smaller. The reason we are actually fortunate that Europe is smaller in some ways because the European market has faced some struggles recently. But we hope to grow all of them. We think the countries that face forex challenges, both in terms of food prices, imports of oil and fuel, which actually India helped solve to a large degree by refining petrol and supplying it to the world, was mitigated in H2 because of the actions of our nation. But there were some decreases in African countries like Tanzania, Kenya, and others because of the fact that they suffered, Algeria as well, because they had forex problems. And we hope that those problems are behind them and those countries continue to grow. Query number 15, sir, when can we expect our company to be debt free? I will broadly answer that by never. I do not want us to be free of debt. I'd like us to be net debt free. But I believe that debt in and of itself imposes a certain degree of prudence on the company. It provides an additional pair of eyes on your company's finances and advice from our bankers, which we value. We believe that with our growth, that we will look at all sources of capital to grow. Therefore, our banking capital will be something we both look forward to and expect to grow as we grow as a company. However, I will I encourage you to look at our debt to equity, which is in the 0.3 range or below, 0.3 range or below. So we will grow with prudence, and we will try to ensure that our debt is at adequate and highly manageable levels, given that commercial vehicles is a highly volatile segment. We will ensure that your company is safe, but we will ensure that all sources of capital are tapped. Query number 16, sir, our R&D expenses reduced from 8 to 6 crores. How should we look at the numbers for this year? R&D expenses will fluctuate up and down based on the needs and the opportunities that come up. We have always, I mean, someone mentioned, sir, we've spent over 100 crores in the last 10 years. I agree, we have. In some cases, those spends have been highly valuable. In some cases, not so, which is why we do not capitalize any of those spends. In fact, I talked to our auditors very much about the unpredictability of the ability to say which of these spends will actually fructify. Therefore, we expense all of them. And as I said, even our spend on composites in the Q4, which was about 1.7 crores, we expensed because we do not know, will that business take off? Will it not? How do we amortize that are all highly difficult questions. So our R&D spends will be such to ensure that the long-term future of this company to achieve its goals will be met. I hope that is a sufficiently detailed answer because I cannot give you a more detailed one. Question number 17, can you talk about our DEFCON patent and how crucial is it to gain market share? So again, I want to step back and answer this question. We came up with DEFCON in 2011 and 12. It stands for Driver Experience of Friction Conditions. Every friction material manufacturer can talk to you about dynamometer reports. Dynamometer reports are highly variable and not representative of the market and actual driving conditions. DEFCON is a small instrument that allows you to manage and measure moment-to-moment vehicle performance, speed, deceleration, braking performance, noise, and pedal effort, which allows the vehicle manufacturer and us, the supplier of friction, to track every 1/10 of a second how the vehicle is performing in terms of its frictional performance and overall driving conditions. This is a tremendous advance that allows for it to be installed in less than 5 minutes. So when the driver goes to get a tea, we can install the device. It is non-obtrusive and does not require any modification to the vehicle in terms of drilling into the vehicle or anything else. It is a unique deployment. It is only your company has it, and it is patented for that reason. It has been tremendous for us to show vehicle manufacturers an unbiased report on actual true driving conditions and braking performance. And it is one of the main reasons why our share has increased from, as I said, pre-COVID to now. And even before that, our increase in share and our increase in OE is because of our ability to demonstrate same data between us and the vehicle manufacturer, the actual friction performance and our superiority over others. So I think this is something that is critical to us and is something we will continue to focus on and deploy with our international customers as well. DEFCON has already been used in Africa and Middle East, as well as in Mexico, to prove to customers the ability for them to substitute their friction with Sundaram brake lining friction and the superiority of our friction. Query number 18, sir, are carbon fibers used in composites imported or sourced locally? I think our carbon fibers are both. Our fibers are both domestic and imported, as is our carbon fiber. We use chopped strands as well. Our resins are also both domestic and international. We will come up with whatever is the best solution for our customers rather than look necessarily at whether it is local or global. Our aim is to provide the best product at a price-effective cost. At a cost-effective price. Anyway, so there is a tremendous fall in imports. Can you share the significance of this? As I mentioned earlier, this is due to the COVID inventories that were reduced. In the annual report, you have mentioned that in the near to medium term, you will be facing gross margin issues because of input raw material costs cannot be changed quickly. We're working hard to mitigate the impact of this cost by using alternatives. Will this help us reach 60% gross margin from H2 onwards? Again, I don't want to predict H2 gross margins. But again, we are These are not instantaneous changes. When we look at raw material substitutions, we work closely with our customers to do that. We ensure that we declare them and we ensure that they are done. We test them significantly both in our labs as well as on the road. So these are all changes that will occur in the longer term. We ensure that we look at raw material prices and we will ensure that we are cost effective and cost competitive. Query number 21, what is the impact of Red Sea issues been? Our sales push to Q1 and Q2 is the issue behind us now. I think because of the efforts we have made, the impact of the Red Sea issue has been limited. Some delays in shipment to our customers, but again, we had stocks there, vendor managed inventory. So we don't see a significant pushback. However, our export order book is extremely strong, and we expect that that will help us. So, well, which comes to question number 22. What is your order book today for friction and composite business? And in how many months are we supposed to fulfill them? I think our OE order book is about 12.5 crores, exports around 31 crores, and independent aftermarket about 5 crores. These all have different time periods in which they need to be resolved. Exports can be 2 months, OE within the month, and independent aftermarket within a couple of weeks or sooner. I hope that answers your questions. The next shareholder was Mr. Ganesh A. He wasn't there, but I will still read out his questions because I think it's useful to learn. He says, what is the initial journey of the organization? Company was founded, as I said, this is the 50th AGM. It was founded in 1974. Production commenced years later, though. Our company was the first company to start exporting from day one in our group. We were the first company for export brake linings to the USA. We were the first company, first friction company to win the Deming Award. We've received the ACMA Award for Excellence. We continue to pioneer a number of us. We hope to continue this tradition of excellence in the future. Where is the management's current energy devoted? Our late chairman in 2011, when he asked me to return to the company, asked that I protect the company. And that is where management efforts are focused, to protect the company, all of its stakeholders. Protect the company does not mean maintain the company as it is, but to grow it, to ensure that the company is protected by its strong growth, its strong profits, and the future business lines are there as well. And that's where I will put 100% of my efforts every day. What is the organizational structure? How do you set a high performance culture with people, and where are you currently hiring? I will talk personally. I have worked personally at McKinsey and Toyota. I hope I bring some of that thinking to this company. We have yearly performance reviews. We have internal reviews. We have intermediate reviews. We continue to review, set clear goals, allow people freedom on how they wish to go about achieving those goals within limits. And we try to evaluate them based on how they did that. We believe that is the only way I know how for a company to have ambitious targets and achieve them. I am willing to listen if you have other suggestions as well. Query number 4, examples of any industry first initiatives, either in product, process, or people. I think we have industry first in many. We pioneered the asbestos free brake lining business. We pushed vehicle manufacturers and convinced them, dragged them in some cases, kicking and screaming into asbestos free. We do single piece production for commercial vehicle lining, which almost none of our competitors do. DEFCON I've talked about. And now our focus foray into composites, where we have produced novel products for a number of our customers. We hope to continue to do so. What do outsiders most misunderstand about your business? I think they think it's like any automotive business, which are normally steel machining businesses or plastics casting businesses, mostly about the mechanics of the business. Ours is a combination of chemistry and physics, as I say. The chemistry is a critical part of the business. The formulations are not protected by patent, but by trade secret. And we have to make both work on the physical and chemical properties of this business. And it makes it more difficult than, I would argue, the regular business. No business is easy. And I don't mean to denigrate any other automotive business, but I think ours is a little bit more complex than others. What is the sales journey of a product? Why do customers choose us over our peers? Is our sales ad hoc or contractual? I think customers choose us over our peers for a variety of reasons. The vast majority of them is that we deliver the performance, a highest performance product that is needed at a price that's affordable to them. Our sales in terms of export and is contractual. In terms of OE is semi-contractual, and in terms of aftermarket is ad hoc. How do you measure profitability? Absolute ROCE, free cash flow. I think our primary goal is ROCE, but we have a mix of measures to ensure that none of them are gamed. And we try to ensure our target is about 20% ROCE, which we have set internally and we continue to try to achieve. We have about 14.2% right now. Founder's vision for the company, any other interests apart from this listed entity? I think our primary vision is to be true to the original TVS values. But in that, we also hope to keep our nation, our customers, and our stakeholders foremost in our mind and achieve growth in an ethical manner. How do we think about shareholder return? Is management incentivized to achieve the same? In your company, the promoters own 66% of the company. Mr. Krishna Kumar had asked a question last year, which I chose not to answer. He asked why the managing director did not take a salary last year. It was not because of any limitations, but for the fact we had not paid the dividend for almost 10 years before that. And I felt that I should not be the first at the bowl before our shareholders took it. So I didn't talk about it until we actually paid a dividend. So I think very much there's 100% alignment between management's focus and the shareholders' interests, and we hope to maintain this interest in the long term. I will then go on to Mr. Chirag Solanki's questions. It says revenue or turnover target for 24-25 and provide insights into the revenue or turnover targets. So again, I can talk broadly about targets rather than performance. So I think our broad target for the year is about 450 crores. It will be achieved through a mix of various businesses. What exactly we achieve will be based, you will see in our company's performance. Thermopack replacement planning, how many thermopacks operating, how many turned off, management's plans for phasing those out. I think I've answered that. Sales breakup for 23-24. Can you provide a detailed breakup of sales for the year 23-24 for brake linings, disc pads, disc brake, clutch facing? So brake linings was 324 crores, disc pads 18 crores, clutch facings 10 crores. Query number 4, power and fuel consumption comparisons. Power and fuel consumption was higher than RANE. Could you elaborate on where we are lagging and what measures? I think I've talked about this in detail. Query next, Mr. Rohit Balakrishnan asked a number of questions. What has led to the decline in OEM sales in FY24? Have we lost market share? I think I've addressed this to a large degree. There was a decrease in production in Q4. We have to also, we have some entry of other suppliers pushed by assemblers of our product, but we believe in the long term, the higher quality that we have and the better performance of a product will win out. And as I've said, our share that we will maintain is the appropriate share for your company. Aftermarket sales have been flat. What are the reasons? We've been talking about increasing share for the last few years, but it has remained flat this year. What efforts are being taken and outlook in the next 2 to 3 years? So I think just the lay of the land. I think we have, as I said, a multi-channel approach, both with distributors and with stockists. Some of our past distributors have reduced orders upon us. I leave their internal decisions to them. However, we have more than made up for it with orders from our stockists, and some of our distributors have increased their orders and we have supplied them as well. We hope to continue to do so, and we hope to continue to focus on this profitable segment and grow it. We believe we are no more than about 10% of this 5 to 10% of the organized sector. We believe we can be much larger, and we will put in efforts on it. We continue to focus on it, and we hope to grow here significantly. We have a sharp reduction in import bill. What has driven that? Will it be a driver of margin in the future? I think I've answered those questions. In the previous AGM, we spoke about 20% growth. However, we haven't been able to achieve that growth. What are the reasons and how are you looking at FY25? I believe this has also been answered. Aftermarket has seen good growth in 24. An outlook can be mentioned in the AR also seems positive. What kind of growth do you think aftermarket will see in the coming 2 to 3 years? I believe this has been answered as well. What is our current capacity utilization? What peak capacity can we reach from our existing capacity? Generally, I would not be very comfortable with over 90% capacity utilization. Therefore, we are adding capacity. We're looking at how do we reuse some of the existing equipment, which I've mentioned in the past. So we will look at it in all detail and all options, and we will invest for growth in a safe and secure manner. Exports saw a good jump. What are the key markets for us in export? Over the next 2 years, will we get to 200 crores in export sales? I think we would look forward to that. North America is a key market, and I've talked about the distribution as well. Do you see any impact in our business owing to shift to EV? This is a question that has come up in the past. Even EVs in the passenger vehicle business use friction today. There isn't a single vehicle that does not use friction to stop the vehicle in the last. We think passenger vehicle will adopt first, buses will adopt next, and commercial vehicles and trucks will adopt last. We think there will be no short-term impact. However, we believe our composites business will cushion us from this in a large way. Mix between CVs, PVs, two-wheelers, three-wheelers. Do you see this mix changing in the next 2 to 3 years? I've answered this question. Are there any new product segments, extensions that we're working on? I think we've talked about composites, riveted shoes, industrial product. We will focus on all of these. We've spoken about CAFE 3 requirements that are expected in place from 2027. Do we have a few products in hand? What kind of opportunity size can we look at? Is this in CV or PV? Will they be largely for EVs? Do you see this contributing to our financials? I think I've answered all of these elements. We have spoken about new products that provide us opportunity in the export markets. Can you talk about these? Do you see them contributing significantly in FY25? Yes, I think they do. We do see them contributing significantly in FY25. As I said, we expect to grow 14% in exports, and I think some of the new products will be critical for that. What opportunities do we have in the non-automotive segments today, and what percentage of revenue comes from these segments? Do we have aspirations to crack these markets, and where are we in this journey? Say 3 to 4 years out, do you want to have a percentage revenue in the non-automotive segment? I would say yes. I would look for us to have about 20 to 25% non-automotive, and we are looking at industrial, aerospace, and other segments. If you look in the last question number 14, in the last 14 to 15 years, we've been a single-digit EBITDA margin company with peak margins at about 9% odd. In the previous decade to that, we have seen double-digit margins. In a two-part question, what has changed in terms of economics or terms of our business? Have we lost market share? 2, is there scope for us to get double-digit EBITDA margins, say 3 to 4 years' time? If so, what are the key drivers for the same? I think the key drivers for the same are increasing prices and decreasing costs. Hopefully, we will have as well as potential associates. And I think that has limited us in the past. However, I'd like to look forward to the future and make sure that we continue to grow successfully. Question number 15, insurance claims receivable. I think this has been answered. Question number 16, CapEx plans for FY25 and how will this be funded? In FY25, all of this funding will be both to internal accruals and bank loans. I think these have been covered and you will see this performance. This is something we will, again, as I've said, our debt to equity is something we monitor daily, weekly, and we will continue to monitor that. Question number, shareholder number 13, Mr. Hitesh Kumar Kiran. Query number 1, past 3 years, we've been talking about much needed correction to our power and fuel consumption. So I think I've answered these questions. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Query number 2, likewise, costs associated with stores and spares, loose tools at 4.5% against competition at 1.5%. There are a variety of complex reasons for that. We are looking into it in greater detail. I will come back to you in the next annual report with what progress we have made on this, but I will emphasize that different materials and different products exist between us and our competition. So there may be differences from that as well. Query number 3, last AGM mentioned realigning our aftermarket sales channel and focusing more on this segment. Can you please share steps taken and outcomes of the same? I've talked about our distributors and stockists, and we will continue to focus and grow the stockist market as well as the distributors. New competitors are entering this market and making double-digit margins. What's holding us back when making a good progress here? I think new competitors who enter this market may have different priorities than us. For us, first and foremost is the safety of our nation and our mothers and brothers and sisters who all drive on our vehicles. We wish to make sure that our products and the vehicles that use them are 100% safe. We have the TVS logo on our product. I want to make sure that we stay true to those original values of TVS. In question number 4, in the last 7 years, we have spent close to 600 million in R&D, which is rupees 600 million in R&D, which is 20% of our market cap. This is quite sizable. However, our growth in the last 7 years has been just 6% CAGR. Could you please elaborate on what these investments are and how they're helping us? This is a difficult and complicated question. As I've mentioned, some of this growth in composites has come from it. So have all of our products. Our increase in share in the OE market has come from it as well. We continue to monitor our effectiveness in R&D spending. We came up with DEFCON to reduce the need to spend on fixed cost for R&D to be able to give more precise data at a more cost-effective manner in a more granular way. We will continue to spend on R&D. We believe that only if we develop new products for the future will we be able to deliver the right product, but we will make sure that that spending is wisely used. Query number 5. Could you please share details on new products introduced in the market in the last 2 to 3 years? And what are the contribution to revenues in FY24? I think we have talked about composites. We've also, our products, all the BS6 vehicles use our product. We've introduced copper-free pads, new PV pads, white PV pads, riveted linings, and adhesive lined shoes. We continue to focus on both automotive and non-automotive, and we hope to see growth in the coming years. What is our strategy on the export front and what are the prospects for the same? In the annual report, you mentioned about the introduction of premium copper-free commercial vehicle pads. Can this be a growth driver for our exports? Yes, I expect to see 14% growth, and this will be a growth driver. Question number 7 was about capital expenditure plans for FY25 and the next 3 years. I think I've talked about FY25. I think the next 3 years, it is too early to talk about. We will take into account the growth and the capital intensity of these areas. In the composites business, the capital intensity is lower than for the friction business. So that will also drive our thinking there. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, I've answered all of your questions. I have done my best. If you have any remaining questions, feel free to write to your company. We will try our best to answer those questions that we can. And, I hope you noticed that I answered some questions that were asked in the last AGM as well, in this AGM. So when I can answer some of those questions, I will do so. I thank you all for your questions, and they truly are valuable to me, and I do make my best effort to answer all of them in as much detail as I can. I'd like to mention that as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013 and listing requirements, voting through remote e-voting was completed on 23rd January 2024. And e-voting at the AGM itself will end 15 minutes after the conclusion of this AGM. So I please, anyone who has not voted, I request that you please do so. After the conclusion of the AGM, 15 minutes after the conclusion of the AGM, for the following resolutions listed in the notice of the meeting. The first is the adoption of audited financial statements and the report of the board and statutory auditors thereon for the financial year ended 31st March 2024. The second is the declaration of dividend of rupees 2 per equity share. The third, the reappointment of Ms. Sripriya Mahesh Ramanan, who retires by rotation. Fourth, appointment of Mr. MCTP Chidambaram as independent director of the company for the first term of 5 years till 27th May 2029. So, ladies and gentlemen, I request that you please vote if you haven't, and I thank you. I want to mention that based on the scrutinizer's report to be received after the e-voting at the AGM, the results about passing of the resolution will be announced within 48 hours and posted on the company's website, www.tvsbrakelinings.com. and also communicate it to the stock exchange. I'd like to request Mr. KSD Samasivam, Director, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Chairman. Esteemed shareholders, Chairman, and fellow board members, a very good morning. It's been such a honor to have been a part of this wonderful event. On behalf of the organization, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed shareholders for having made it convenient to attend your company's annual general meeting. As shareholders, you all have stood by the company during good and testing times and have been a great strength. We thank you for that. Finally, a sincere thanks to the chairman, fellow directors, NSDL, and heads of various departments who handled the event today to make it a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Mr. Samasivam. With this, I declare the meeting as concluded. Thank you.